Mainit na diskusyunan,
Masarap na kwentuhan,
malinamnam na usapan,
at nakakagising na balitaktakan.
parang kape lang. My name is Jeff.
And I'm Weya Angeline
Join us in our conversations at Coffee na Lang Dear Podcast.
Hype Network presents. Welcome to your unfiltered Tagalog Wrestling Podcast. This is the LTG Show Podcast. Okay, it's Friday, and you know what that means. Welcome to your Unfiltered Tagalog Wrestling Podcast, and this is the MTG Show Podcast, a wrestling podcast. Ito. So it's gonna be a big one. Kasi for the very first time, we're going to talk about draft. Nag-draft ako last year, but I'm not going to do that this year kasi medyo mabantot yung nangyari last year. So, first thing foremost, I want to thank Stan and the Row of the Wrestling Podcast for the episode last night. It's gonna be good. Magandang episode yun. Pakinggan nyo if medyo nalulungkot pa kayo dahil nawala ang WWE sa Fox. And kung bakit nag-umpisa yung Wrestling Gods, it's gonna be a good episode for you. Marami kami pinag-usapan doon. Medyo nabitin pa nga ako kasi ginawa lang namin is 45-50 minute episode na to sa pod, which is bitin. Sobrang bitin nun sa akin. Pero wala tayong magagawa. Malami oras din sila. Kaya sabi ko, I'm going to do this 30 to 45 minutes or 50. And okay sila, madali sila. Actually, ganun lang yung agreement namin. Si Stan talaga yung naging utak nitong episode na yun. So, papakinggan niyo yung podcast na yun. Pakinggan niyo yung episode na yun. I swear, dami kayo matututunan. And at the same time, sobrang tatubo pa din ako on what the hell I'm saying on that episode. So, pakinggan nyo, that's episode number 70, the episode na kung saan sobrang solid na. Today is episode number 71, the official start of our road to 100 episodes. So, bago tayo mag-start, bibigay ko muna kung ano yung table natin for this week. So, it's gonna be our review for Extreme Rules. We're going to talk about Extreme Rules. Medyo ipopulverize natin, no? And then, we're going to talk about the draft. Medyo pipreview lang natin. Pag-uusapan din natin kung gusto nyo ba na yung decision na nangyari ng Monday and then ng NXT 2.0. At saka, yung nangyari sa Dynamite, which is one of the best happenings of this week. Also, pag-uusapan din natin yung mga predictions ko for the draft. And, yeah, basically yun lang. Ayaw ko masyado mag-talk about G1 this week kasi hindi ko pa naman napapanood. Nakakaya mag-talk ngayon linggo. Siguro, naiwan na ako sa day 2, day 3 or 4. Basta may abangan ko na lang. I'm going to give you updates on the social media platforms. It's gonna be good. So, before we start this bago ako mag-umpisa, seryoso na kasi mahaba na ako mag-intro masyado. mag-introduce lang tayo sa ating mga kasama here in the pod. So we get NordVPN. So si NordVPN, personally, ginagamit ko na siya for a very long time. Pero hindi ako paid user. Siguro, I can say na ginagamit ko pa din siya. Basta, ayan, if you want to use Disney Plus habang wala pa Disney Plus, if gusto mo makapanood ng content na hindi mo napapanood here in the Philippines, you can use NordVPN. So, VPN syempre, private na virtual na pang-access sa mga content na nakatago sa atin here in the Philippines. So here, if you're a listener of the MPA Show podcast, I can give you a special discount na makikita nyo na lang mag-direct nyo dun sa link na bibigay ko sa inyo. So that's podlink.co/BWN. Again, that's podlink.co/BWN. Medyo, ewan ko, nakita ko pa na yun kagabi. But I think ito ay 2 years and then may libre ka pa 4 months. So, for only $89, that's pretty insane. Ang binayaran mo lang dito yung halos isang taon. Isang taon, 1.5 year. Kaya sobrang laking tulong. Kaya I swear, sobrang solid ng NordVPN. If you want to access content, gumamit na kayo NordVPN. Ayan. So, let's start this week's pod with the Extreme Rules pay-per-view. So, mag-umpisa tayo syempre sa dulo. So, yung dulo nga, ang nangyari dito is ganito. So, we get the main event, Roman Reigns versus Finn Balor for the Universal Championship. Let's start with the ridiculous finish. Kasi sobrang dami na upset dito. Yung finish is kinda unexpected. Sabihin na natin talaga. Sobrang unexpected noong finish na yun. And even ako na sobrang ayoko na matalo si Finn, sobrang natawa na lang talaga ako. Every fucking time that he's going to make a move after that comeback, it's kinda ridiculous. Para siyang Rubik's Cube na binuo mo. Tapos, bubuhay mo ulit kasi di mo na magawa. Ganun yung nangyari kay Finn. And, suddenly, it's kinda, hindi ito yung match na sa tingin ko maasahan natin na magiging masama. But I really love kung ano yung nangyari. The first portion of this match is really good. No doubt about it. I can give this match a 4 to 5 all day. Kasi I think it deserves it. Sobrang ganda lang talaga. The plot twist on the end is just, yun lang talaga. Kailangan turn off dito sa match na to. If you're going to ask me na naka-apekto ba yun sa credibility ng Finn Balor character, no doubt, yes. Sobrang laki nun. So, ito. Parang ang nare-realize natin is on that top rope, it's either a botch o malfunction. Siguro ganun kasi, pwede natin sabihin malfunction. Pero hindi kasi pinifix, nung bago mag-upisa ng show, kine-check nila yan. Kaya I don't think that's a malfunction. Sabi kasi ng iba is, I think this match is so good, but the end is just fucked up. And it's right, tama naman. Pero, sasabihin nyo na ito sadya. Maybe. Pero I can't say na sadya Hindi ko din pwede sabihin na ito. It's part of the storyline. It's part of the storyline. Fuck you. Sorry people. Pero yun, ganun eh. Hindi siya hindi ito yung match. Sa tingin mo magiging scenario about this one. Hindi ito yung inaasahan natin, 'di ba? But still, napatunayan pa din natin na si Finn, kahit papaano, we can say na is a worthy wrestler, he is a hell of a wrestler. Na sa tingin natin kaya pang maging mas solid kumpara sa mga napakita niya before. And that's why I love Finn. So, yeah. Mm-mm. And then, pero ito, tuloy na lang natin. Medyo, it's kinda, interesting. Sabihin ko na lang, interesting. Pero, ayoko muna magbigay ng mas mahabang commentary. Siguro lang dahil nandun pa tayo sa part na dismayado tayo dahil it's either a botch or a malfunction na para mapansin ng fans. Ganun ganun yung point. Ganun yung feeling about this match. So, medyo maglalaylo na tayo. So, let's go with Bianca Belair versus Becky Lynch in a match. So, for the women's title, so the Sasha Banks returns kinda unexpected for me. Kala ko mangyayari siya sa SD after nito. Si draft na nga. Sobrang ganda ng touch na yon, at the same time protected pa din sa dalawa, kay Bianca or kay Becky. And Sasha Banks return is kinumpleto niya yung product na yan. Kinumpleto niya yung package na sa tingin natin kung ano yung makikita natin, and we're glad na ganun yung nangyari. I'm glad na ganun yung nangyari. And so we get a triple threat. It's gonna be Jeff Hardy, Damian Priest, and Sheamus. Si Jeff's involvement of this one is para sa akin lang giveaway to. sorry guys. Para sa akin lang giveaway to. Parang sa tingin ko giveaway lang talaga. Hindi ko siya nakikita na big prize at all. Hindi ko rin nakikita na mananalo siya. Sorry people. Pero ganun lang yung trato ko kay Jeff this one. Same with Sheamus. Siguro they are building up Priest a lot. And I'm glad they're doing it. And sobrang saya ko na I think ito na yung sa mga perfect timing to build Priest on his shoulders. Parang, kumbaga, it's time to make a new talent. And we got Damian Priest. Sobrang galing din. Hindi na ako magugulat. If this man is going to win the Royal Rumble next year, it's gonna be good. Sobrang ganda na panigurado. So, ito. Charlotte Flair versus Alexa Bliss for the Raw Women's title. Ano ba yung natin dito? Gusto ko mag-point out sa part na sinira na ni Alexa. Yung sinira ni Charlotte yung doll. Parang parang ito na yung story na sa tingin natin si Alexa, parang pointless na siya pag wala yung doll. And she will try her best to rebuild herself without the doll. Ganun. And sasabihin ko na it's gonna be good. If ang story nito is pabalik ka sa dati mong character, it's gonna be good. Sobrang key ako doon. Ito, the match is good as well. Para sa akin lang. Parang nabitin lang ako kasi parang mas nakita natin ng maliwanag yung end. Yung nangyari in the end kaysa sa mismong match. Sorry people. And then, we got this Street Profits versus the Usos. As usual, solid pa rin talaga. Sobrang solid pa din yung nangyari sa kanya ng SD. Solid nun, sobra. And then, yung parang nakita natin na kahit 6 lang yung laban dito sa event. Lahat siguro ay nabibigyan ng spotlight just like this one, especially kay Montez. Nakikita talaga natin lahat yung kung ano yung kaya niya pang gawin. And also, props sa Usos kasi sobrang ganda ng pinakita nila on this one. kumpara sa dalawang events para sa akin. And yun, sobrang solid. And then finally we got the most ridiculous add-on. Kumbaga, parang ridiculous add-on lang. So it's New Day versus Lashley, AJ and Amos. Parang ito yung giveaway natin. Kasi bibigyan tayo at kinabukasan ng WWE Championship match between Lashley and Big E. And then, parang ito na yung preview, kumbaga. Hindi ako fan talaga ng impromptu matches, especially on pay-per-view. But para sa akin, ito yung isa sa mga impromptu matches na nagustuhan ko in my own perspective. Sasabihin ko sa inyo, I'm not a fan of impromptu matches, but this match is really, really good. Sobrang ganda ng laban na to. And if they're saving the stuff on Raw or SmackDown, well, sobrang genius na. Sobrang genius na. And, ayun lang. Basically, that's it for the Extreme Rules review. Ibigay ko na yung overall. Overall, magbibigay ako ng overall ngayon. So, overall, I can say na kontento ako, but they can show more. Especially putting stipulations. Siguro kung ang attraction lang for tonight or for that night is Roman Finn match. May sense talaga na isa lang ang Extreme Rules match. But they can do it better. Parang yung Extreme Rules match, parang you can put other stuff like yung steel cage, ganun. You can put for example, DQ at this. May no DQ tayo sa triple threat, understandable. But iba pa din yung full packed na hardcore talaga since Extreme Rules to. And medyo palayaw na rin kasi tayo sa TV, sa PG era. I think it's because of AEW obviously. Pero try your best to build the pay-per-view. Next year siguro na wag lang i-focus sa isa. We know na meron pang isang pay-per-view na ganun din na nangyari, which is TLC 2013. And siguro if may right time, i-review ko din yun dito siguro. Bago mag-December siguro. I'm going to give my thoughts on that pay-per-view. I'm going to do a retro review. So, yun lang. Overall, that's a good pay-per-view. I think yung mga nangyari on that pay-per-view siguro, ito na yung desperate moves ni Vince McMahon para to do a better product. Good lang kasimple. And so, speaking of better product, let's move on to Monday night. Raw na ba tayo? Oo, mag-raw na tayo. So, yung mga nangyari sa Raw is pretty damn good din. Hindi ako masyadong expect na. So, ito nag-umpisa tayo sa isang WWE Championship match, Big E versus Bobby Lashley. And I can say it's a really good match actually para sa akin. Pero wala yung naging highlight dito is yung pagbalik ng Hurt Business. Medyo natatawa pa nga ako. Bakit? But all this time, ba't nila naisipan na ibalik sila Shelton at si Cedric Alexander? Parang hindi naman sasabihin ko na pointless, pero they can do it they can do it better talaga eh. Parang I know parang they're saving up stuff for later on, pero kung pagbabasihan natin yung pagpasok nila, that's a really good shit. Parang ganda ang ganda ng pasok, pero ang naging problema, alam mo yung naging problema ko on this one? Siguro parang na-ruin. Parang may na-ruin na stuff yung pag-save nila. And siguro kung di naman sila nag-split nung few months back, parang sasabihin ng tao is parang okay, predictable na to. Ganun lang yun eh. Kaya that's why itong pagbalik nga nila is a really good idea. Pero lista tayo. So, natutuwa ako sa isang portion that they're building up. They're building up Angel Garza again. Parang pwede ko sabihin na they're building up talents once again. Yun, parang yun ang ganun ang gusto ko iparating eh. And they did it. They did it. And then, sige, tuloy natin. So, we got another United States Championship match. But this time, one-on-one. So, it's Damian Priest versus Sheamus for the US title nga. So, it's gonna be a good... Sobrang ganda ng laban. Yan na lang po siya. Yan na lang isasabihin ko. Sobrang ganda ng laban for me. Sa tingin ko, parang nagamit nila yung advantage of putting the disqualification stuff. And parang nag-make sense yung sequence na to para sa akin lang. Parang they use the stuff properly, pero I think they can do it better siguro kung ginawa nila sa pay-per-view to. Kasi reasons. Ganun lang yan. And then wala tayo masyadong kailangan pag-usapan eh. We're going to talk about the main event instead. Wait, tama. Main event sa it's Big E versus Bobby Lashley na Steel Cage. So, yung nangyari sa opener ulit. But this time, parang na siya, alam mo yun, na parang hindi na siya magiging predictable this time, but hindi. The ending is predictable as fuck. Parang, ayan, sige, spatan mo ako ng big ending. Big endingan mo ako sa taas, and that's it. Ganun lang yan naging trato ko on this match. But, for me, this match is really satisfy my night. Sobrang satisfy ako dito. But, I know, kagaya nga ng sabi ko, they can do better. Parang, ito na lang ba yung kaya namin gawin? Because I don't think so. Kasi, we can do it better because we can do it better. Ganun lang yun eh. Na dumarating yung point na we're going to build a show. We know we can do it better, but, Jesus. And then, yung pagpasok ni Drew McIntyre from after of the match, parang nagpo-point na lalabanan niya si Big E for the championship. That's a really good stuff para sa akin. Yun, so that's why yun na muna for this week's Raw. And we're going to talk about real quick sa SmackDown kung ano mga importanteng nangyari sa SmackDown. So we get Nakamura versus Apollo Crews match. Para sa akin, not bad. Not bad lang. Parang we can say na daw dito. Parang I can say all night long na they're saving up stuff for another or some shows. Pero ito, I think, isakto lang talaga. Kung pinilagay na ito sa pay-per-view, may basura sana tayo match. Sorry guys. And din lang nga sa akin. And then, so we got Liv Morgan versus Selena Vega match. Para sa akin lang, the action is fine. Okay. And then, parang bigyan ko pa kayo ng ideya. Parang, ang nangyari kasi dito is, pinukus nila ni Carmel yung match. Parang ang labo. Yun na yung result. Pero at least si Liv Morgan, binibuild talaga nila to the moon. And I'm go for it. Para sa akin lang, kailangan nila i-build si Liv. Kasi kung ayaw niya umalis yung talent niya talaga, kailangan nila i-build up. Yun lang talaga masasabi ko. And then we got... Wait lang. So, yun na yun. We don't need to talk about a lot of stuff. Pero pag-usapan na lang natin si Montez. But I can say Montez on this night is really, really damn good on this week's SmackDown. Sobrang alam mo yun na pwede na natin ilagay sa main event si Montez Ford. if binigo tayo, babalik natin siya sa mid-card. Ganun lang yung nakikita ko kay Montes on this one. But yeah, so we're going to take a break and when we come back, pag-usapan natin NXT 2.0, AEW, and the draft, of course.
I like to have a good time when I listen to my horror podcast.
Her left arm
Oh,
was
that's
chopped
so.
off.
Oh my god, really?
Caused a panic all over the
Prolonged
country.
their deaths for like months and
The
months.
frightening, alarming, real-life tales show is my horror podcast. My horror podcast. That's
Give
it.
Pause it.
This is your scary part?
Be scared and laugh hard with the frightening, alarming, real-life tales show every Friday on all major podcasting platforms. Don't say I didn't warn you.
Ayun, we're back. Ang ikli ng break, no? So, ano ba sabihin ko? So, first thing, malapit na nga ang sale ulit sa Shopee. So, if you want to support the podcast, of course, please use my links on Shopee. That's padlink.co/BHX. Again, that's padlink.co/BHX. And every purchase nyo is makakatulong sa akin yun para magstay ng podcast. And wala kayong babayaran kahit ano. Doon lang sa Nord. May explain ulit natin yung Nord before we end. So, let's continue. Pag-usapan natin ng konti itong NXT 2.0. Let's start with B-Fab versus Elektra Lopez. So, this match is really, really damn good for me. Parang kung ganito yung ideya ng mga matches sa NXT 2.0, it's fine para sa akin. They are building up new talents from the ground. And I think this is one of the biggest example of that. Parang yung pagsama nila dalawa, para sa tingin ko, meron pang kailangan i-improve. But the match is really damn good. Yun lang masasabi ko. Okay. Tapos, yun lang. And then, parang, ano ba yung kailangan natin pag-usapan on this one? We got another, sobrang, alam mo yun, sobrang nanginginayang ako kay Joe Gacy, no offense people. Yung mga sinabi niya last week, sayang sobrang sayang. Parang ang nilagay nila is stuff na parang hindi na siya pang TV. Parang ganun Ang ayoko lang siguro sa sinabi ni Joe Gacy dito is parang nakaka-turn off. Parang nakaka-turn off yung promo niya. But I think na maganda yun. Maganda yung promo niya, I swear. Pero kung i-build nila ng putol-putol to, fuck, what's wrong with the people? And then, so we got the, So we got the NXT Cruiserweight Championship. It's Roderick Strong versus Grayson Waller in a match. It's gonna be sobrang ganda ng laban. I can say sobrang ganda ng laban na to. Ang hindi ko lang nagustuhan, I think, on this match is parang maikli siya on this one. Like what I said, hindi natin kailangan problemahin kung ba't maikli yung laban. But I can say here is, sanay na kayo. But this match is really, really damn good. For me, I guess, wako sa inyo. And then, finally, ito yung gusto ko pag-usapan sa We Got the Index Honeymoon. Summary na lang natin. I think itong Index Honeymoon is a really good segment. Itong segment na to, personally, is really damn good. Parang, ito na yung nag-edge sa atin papunta sa edgy content. And I think, kung ganun ang focus nila, maganda Pero kung magpo-focus sila pa rin sa PG, parang nakikita pa rin natin na maganda yung direction. Kaya sabihin ko talaga maganda. And then, mm, parang ito, sabihin natin na itong stuff na to, ito yung nagagawa nila in a while. Sabihin natin cheesy. But, but ito, parang nakikita natin dito. Ang ganda eh. Oo, I can say yes, maganda. Yan lang talaga. Hindi na ako masyado mag-comment to. And then, sige, let's talk about the NXT Women's Championship match. So, it's Raquel Gonzalez versus Frankie Monet. So, I think this is the first defeat ni Frankie one-on-one. Tapos, parang na-realize ko dito na isa siya sa mga posibleng pumunta ng main roster. So, that's why she lost this match. Hindi niya kailangan magtagal. Ganun ang naisip natin dito. But I think parang it's too early for her to lose. It's too early kay Monet to lose. Hindi ko sinasabi na fan ako. But parang sasabihin ko lang ang aga para matalo. Ayan. And then, parang ang magtitake siguro ng advantage. Ako nagtake ng advantage dito is toxic attraction, and parang they want, especially Mandy Rose, they want the NXT Women's Championship. And that's a long time coming. Damn it. Sobrang long time coming na yun. And I think ito na yung perfect time for Mandy to ito na yung sa tingin ko na perfect time to become champion. Parang pero they need to build Rose muna. Parang ito na yung way on how they're going to rebuild Mandy, and sobrang ganda. Parang may pagtutunguhan pa, may mga makikita pa tayo na stuff for that matter. So, medyo lisa tayo kasi pag-usapan pa natin ang draft. So, we're going to talk about Dynamite real quick. So, ang importante lang naman on this week's Dynamite is number 1, nagkaroon nga ng 16-man tag. Wow! That's 16. That's the biggest AW match to date. To date. And then, parang ito, I can say, is etong reunion na to, ay yung pag-settle up nila, parang hindi siya parang pilit na lang talaga sila. Ganon. Parang ganon yung way. No offense sa mga Brody fans. Pero parang ganon na nakikita ko. But negative ones, leadership on that episode is really damn good. And yung pagpasok ni yung asawa ni Brody, that's a really big touch para sa akin. Sobrang ganda ng touch nun. And then we got Jungle Boy versus Adam Cole, baby. That's a really good match. Para sa akin, parang akong nanonood ng NXT ng black and gold pa. And the difference lang is mas maganda yung nabibigay ngayon ng AEW kumpara sa NXT noon. Especially noong panahon na nasa WWE Network kasi. I think ganito yung nabigay sa atin ng Jungle Boy versus Adam Cole. And yung last time kay Adam Cole na I think the one-on-one with Frankie Sarian. And finally, we're going to talk about Sammy Guevara versus Miro. So I can say yes, sobrang solid nung spot na yun for for Sammy Guevara. And hindi ko in-expect na matatalo si Miro dito. Sobrang gulat ako. Na akala ko, ayan, matatalo ka muna and then you're going to parang i-build ka until the pay-per-view. But no, we got the title change today. And sobrang impressed ako sa AEW kung paano nila i-build to. And it's really, really, really damn good. So gusto ko din point out na si Bobby Fish, former WWE superstar, is i-challenge Sammy Guevara in a one-on-one match for the TNT Championship. Mag-take place siya next week. So expected nyo na may maabangan na naman tayo laban. And it's gonna be good as usual. Ayun. So that's it for our weekly discussion, our weekly stuff. So eto bale, ganitong gagawin ko kasi di ko pa na-rate yung buong pay-per-view. Siguro ipopost ko na lang yung lahat sa podcast platforms natin. But sure ko itong Finn versus Roman 4 to 5. I can say it's 4 out of 5. Parang kung syempre may bomber, syempre turn off yun. Ayan. Let's move on. Ibigay ko na lang mamaya. Magano lang siguro. Papost na lang ako sa programming, sa podcast platforms. And then, so basically, ito na yung episode natin. So we're going to take a break once again. And pagbalik natin is WWE Draft. And pag-usapan natin yung Face of the Week. Yun na lang. And we'll be right back.
This is Mike and Ham from Please Pause. Meron kaming munting podcast where we talk about all things TV and film. And despite that, surprisingly, we are still married.
Control freak ka kasi sa podcast na to.
30 seconds lang po ang meron tayo. Pakibilisan.
From blockbusters to classics, superheroes to love teams, hit series to teleseries, join us as we have meaningful and meaningless conversations on the stuff we watched. Someday, mababago ka rin ang tagline na yan.
Check out Please Pause on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and other major podcast platforms.
See you there!
So yeah, we're back. So we can say na, ayan, teka. So malapit na nga ang 10-10 nga, sabihin ko ulit kasi nauutal na ako kaka-10-10. Pero pwede kayong tumulong sa akin here in the podcast if gagamitin niyo yung link for Lazada. So Lazada, mangyayari na ulit yung 10-10 sale in 2 weeks time. And then you can support the podcast by using my link. That's tiny. Wait lang tayo. Naman. So that's podlink.co/6gs. Again, that's podlink.co/6gs. Again, that's podlink.co/6gs. I think wala kayo babayaran dito as far as I'm concerned. And if ginamit niyo yung link ko, makakatulong yan sa akin para magstay itong podcast. And I swear, di nyo mariregret yan. Ayan. So, mag-usap-usap na lang tayo about the draft. Ito, konting ideya lang. Wala pa nilalabas si WWE as a recording kung paano yung magiging format ng draft this year. Wala pa sila nilalabas. Pero I think if gagawin nila ulit yung last year, it's kind of bullshit for me. Parang ang gulo kasi ng format ngayon. Parang ang gulo. And then, ayan, sige, tuloy natin. If ako yung pagtatanungin nyo, start, the world champions, okay na sila sa mga roster nila. Big E sa Raw, Roman sa SmackDown, and then mga mid-champions, I think, kailangan nila mag-swap. Si Nakamura wala na siyang feud. He can go to Raw. And then, tingnan natin si Priest sa SmackDown. Kung maganda yung magiging run ni Priest sa SmackDown. Ganun eh. And then, tag teams. So, it's basically Usos versus Usos and wait, sino ba yung tag champions? So, RK Bro, I think they need to stay. And then, ano pa ba? Women's champions, Charlotte and Becky. Okay pa siguro na magstay muna sila for a while. And then, the Women's Tag Championships, since ito medyo magulo kasi they can go to any brand, pero may exclusive pa rin sila na brand. Ang weird. I think SmackDown sila Rhea Ripley and si ASH. Ganun. And then, sino pa yung mga lilipat? If you're going to ask me na gusto ko, I think Apollo Crews and Kinder mag-trade sila Raw to SmackDown, SmackDown to Raw. Dagdag ko na din sila Mansoor and si Ali sa SmackDown, I think. And then, lagay nila doon yung Alpha Academy. I think magandang competition din yan. And then sa women's, I think Carmella, pwede na siya mag-Raw. Pero wala, andun si Corey Graves sa SmackDown. Ay, tama. So si Carmella, she can go to Raw since magkasama naman sila at this point. And then, ipupuntahin natin babae, I think Shayna Baszler para magka-rematch naman Becky and Charlotte. Becky and Shayna. And it's gonna be good if they're going to do that again. Ano pa? So, if may NXT promotions from the NXT to main roster, I think they can put Kyle O'Reilly on SmackDown. And then Taya, Frankie Monet on, I think I can say SmackDown. And then, sino pa? Tag team? If may tag team, siguro GYB to Raw. Para mabalance kahit paano. And then, last thing na i-mention ko, I think, kung may ipupunta pa sila, I think it's Pete Dunne. If mag-extend yung contract niya with WWE, I think Pete Dunne talaga. So, let me know your predictions for this year's draft na pwede nyo naman i-ano sa akin on social media platforms. So, let me know kung ano yung hula nyo o sa tingin ko yung mga nangyari o yung magiging accurate for this year's draft. So, it's time to go now. We're going to talk about picks of the week. So, yung picks natin for this week is technically one of the biggest picks. Oh, bakit? Kasi ang dami nangyari. So, para fair, ginawa ko top 3 matches of the week. Parang ganun ang ginawa ko. So, mag-umpisa tayo sa match of the week. Kasi no doubt, ito yung para sa akin na parang I can say na sobrang solid na to. Mga stuff na to. So, let's start with the men. Superstar of the week. I think Roman Reigns from beating Big E and Lashley on Raw. And then beating Montez on SmackDown. And then yung, tawag ba dito? Napapaisip ako. And then Extreme Rules. Ganda nung ano niya, ng appearance niya dito despite the fact na he defeated Finn Balor. But still, that stuff is really damn good. And then, the woman of the week, I think it's Britt Baker. Britt Baker, parang ang dating niya sa akin, this one is slow na siya mag-stale kaysa naman kay Becky. Si Becky talaga nag-stale na in general on her run right now. And maganda yung laban ni Britt sa Dynamite last week. Kaya that's why nilagay ko siya dito sa posisyon na to. So, ano pa yung nilagay natin for this week's Raw, for this week's pod. So, first thing, match of the week, we got the Kenny Omega versus Bryan Danielson match. That's a good match. Pwede niyo siya panoorin pa kahit 2 weeks ago na. Oo, yan. And then, the triple threat, Big E, Lashley, and Reigns. That's a good stuff na you can watch all day long. Parang if maghahabol ka lang sa mga na-miss mo sa wrestling this week, this is the one that na hindi mo kailangan ma-miss. And then, parang underrated pick ko for this lineup is the triple threat for the NXT UK title. So, it's A-Kid, Rampage Brown, and si Nathan Frazer. I think, sobrang ano nito, parang I can say na sobrang underrated itong pick na to for the match this week. And yun. Yun lang sa akin. Let me know your match of the week. Let me know kung ano yung mga nagustuhan nyo this week sa podcast. Let me know on the podcast platforms. That's sa facebook.com/themtshowpod. Sa ano ba yung tatangin? Spotify talaga. Sa Instagram at saka sa Tangina, teka. Sa Spotify at saka sa... Puta, wait lang. Sabi ko Instagram at Twitter at the MTG Show Pod. Sorry na. Hindi ako lasing, pero siguro inaantok na ako. And then, you can, join our discussion sa Facebook podcast page, facebook.com/the Show Pod, and on our Facebook group. That's the Show Podcast group. And then, pwede tayong mag-discussion sa groups natin, syempre. Again, and again. So, isang shoutouts na lang kay Stan and Ro from the Wrestling Podcast, as well as Nicole and Sandro Hermoso, na two other hosts ng ng The Wrestling Gods. And if di nyo pa napapakinggan yung episode na yon, sobrang solid na ang episode na yon. I think na sobrang siksik yung mga pinag-usapan namin ng Wrestling Gods. And if namimiss nyo yung WWE sa Fox, ito yung perfect time para pakinggan nyo yung episode na yon. So check it out on your favorite podcast platforms and on the podcast app. And please support Wrestling Podcast. You can listen to their podcast on all of the podcast platforms and salihan yung Patreon nila. Marami sila dong stuff like watch parties and other more. Ayan. So, that's pretty much it for this week's podcast. So, follow the podcast on all the social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, and TikTok at the MT Show Pod. And then, syempre, mapapakinggan nyo tong podcast every Fridays and sometimes random times if may special tayo sa inyong mga podcast platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Anchor, and on the podcast app for Google or Android phones. So, pwede ka na rin makinig ng podcast sa inyong mga Android phones via Facebook. Tingnan nyo lang yung Facebook page and makikita nyo na yung podcasts doon na feature ng Facebook app. And then you can support Pipe Network. You can support Pipe Network by following our social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Pipe Network. And visit pipenetwork.co for more Pipe Network shows. And may personal social media platforms at AJ Penera, Twitter, Instagram. And that's pretty much it for this week's episode. So, stay safe, stay reso. I hope na makapagpa-register pa kayo since mag-open pa ulit yung registration from October 9 to 30 sa Comelec offices after na pag-sign ng COC ng mga kandidato for next year. So, again, stay safe, stay reso, mask up if gusto nyo, if may vaccine dyan sa inyo, mask, kailangan nyo magpa-vaccine na as far as I'm concerned. And see you next week for your usual wrestling podcast. And this is the MT Shop Podcast, episode 71. We're out.